unfortunately had sent the man nude pictures of herself. So now he knows a lot about her. He's developed trust. He has nude pictures of her, knows where she lives, and he knows where she goes to school. The mom completely flipped out. Hey everybody, I'm Chad Bullock. I'm the founder of Total Tech Parenting, where we teach parents just like you the right strategies, the right tools, and the technology to keep your kids safe online. Well, this Tuesday, CNN Business put out an article called The Dark Side of Discord for Teens, with some very disturbing things in there. The article starts off with a mother describing how her 16-year-old high school daughter, she was sucked into a relationship by an older gentleman in the United Kingdom. They're in the United States. He was in the United Kingdom, supposedly. Before I go into what really happened here, let me just make sure everybody understands what Discord is. So Discord is an application that can be on your computer. You can get to Discord through a browser. It can be an app on your phone. And really think about it as kind of like chat rooms, and anybody can create one. And they're called servers inside of Discord. You create a server, you might have 2 people on it. You could have 10, you could have 100,000. And in inside of those, you talk to everybody at once, or you can go talk off privately, individually, with just two people, or just a small group of people. You can talk on chat, you can talk via voice, audio, you can get into video calls, you can even do sharing of screens. So here's what happened. So the mother thankfully found out before anything happened, but her daughter was asked for nude pictures, and she obliged, and unfortunately had sent the man nude pictures of herself. And she also found out that he was asking her what their home looked like. And so she went to Zillow and sent him the direct link of their home. So he had their address. He knew exactly where they lived. And it didn't stop there. He then said, I'm from the UK. What do school buses look like in the United States? Can you send me a picture of your school bus? Again, this 16-year-old girl, bless her heart, she took a picture of her school bus and she sent it to this man. So now he knows a lot about her. He's developed trust. He knows what she likes. She even sent pictures of her friends too, by the way. He has nude pictures of her, knows where she lives, and he knows where she goes to school. So as you can imagine, the mom completely flipped out when she discovered all of this and went into protection mode. I mean, like any of us would be. We don't want our kids to get hurt. She installed cameras around the house and went security crazy because she didn't know if he was going to show up and try to abduct her or what was going to happen. What I want to do is just stop and talk about what went wrong here. What could the parents and the child have done differently? And after that, I want to talk about how this mom could have known about all of this before it escalated out of control with all of these different things happening. She could have seen it going. And I'll talk about the software technology that she could have had to notify her of that. And I'll get to that here in just a little bit. So what was wrong here? What went wrong? Number one is we have to talk to our kids about online dangers. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe this mother did talk to her, or the father did talk to this daughter about online dangers. And these groomers are really good. It's like she felt like she was in a safe place. He was her friend. He only meant good. And they're gonna make your kids feel that way because that's what they do. These sick individuals do. So it's so important that in this world today, if we're gonna put our kids online, they understand the dangers that are out there. They understand the ramifications of giving out personal and private information like your name, your address, phone number, Social Security, you name it, and give them some examples of what could happen. Now, I know we all want our kids to remain innocent and just wholesome individuals for as long as we possibly can, but if our kids are getting online, we have to make sure they understand those dangers so they have caution and they exercise good judgment And the only way we're going to do that is if we talk about it. So that's number one. Number two, I want to talk about it is the internet is somewhat permanent. If you put something online, it tends to stay there forever. Now, there are certainly situations that are less public online that you can delete and it goes away. But our kids need to understand that. And what you say, how you say it, things you post, all can be preserved for others to see down the road. God forbid this man takes her nude pictures and puts them somewhere on the internet and it gets spread everywhere and these are out there forever. Poor girl. I certainly hope that never happens. But our kids got to make sure they understand that and give them some examples just even for work later on in life. I remember an article a couple years ago. This young lady was so excited about her dream job, and then somebody found a tweet she had done like 8 years ago or 10 years ago, and it was not in good taste, and her future employer found out about it 8 years ago. She was like a kid. She was 19. And they decided not to hire her because of what she said there. So it's so important for our kids to understand that. And here's another one. I just did a quick search a minute ago, and there are tons of stories like this. This young lady had found her dream job with NASA. Guess what? She lost it because of what she was saying on Twitter. So make sure your kids understand that what they say online very well could be permanent and can affect them later on in life. So that's number two. Have those conversations with your kids. Number three is know the apps your kids are using. You know, there are so many apps and they're constantly coming out, but it's so important for us as parents to know what is this app you're putting on your computer, your phone, your tablet, and what does it do? And then we need to get it ourselves and go in and explore it, see everything you can do with it, take the time to do that, interact with your kids on those different applications if that's an option. But make sure we know what all of these applications do that our kids are downloading, because that's going to allow us to know where we need to step in and what type of controls or limits, or just saying no because we're the parent and we know this is a bad idea. Let me just hop back over this article. It goes on and talks a little bit about how social media companies have come under fire recently, and lawmakers are now weighing legislation to protect kids online. A bipartisan bill was introduced in the Senate last month, which proposes new and explicit responsibilities for tech platforms to protect children from digital harms. So I just have a question for you. Do you think it's the government's job to protect your kids from digital harms? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm thrilled that they want this. But I have worked in the high-tech industry, one of the top tech industries in Silicon Valley, for 2 decades. And I can tell you right now, the government will never keep up with the pace of technology. They just can't do it. And a lot of them don't even understand technology that are there today. So I'm thrilled that they're doing this, but it is our job to protect our kids online. We can't outsource it. We can't depend on the government and legislation, and we certainly cannot depend on the creators of these different applications and social media to do that for us. It's our job as the parents. The article goes on, and I want to make sure I read this part to you. Many of the parents CNN Business spoke with said they did not enable any of the offered parental controls at the time, mostly because they were in the dark about how the platform works. Like I said, we need to know the apps. But here's the thing, it wouldn't have mattered, at least for Discord anyway. So here, I'm actually gonna, on my other computer, I'll put this up on the screen for you. I'm gonna pull up Discord right now. And if you look on the screen here, this is what they're talking about, the privacy and safety settings. I'm inside the Discord app. And this first section, it talks about how you can set a setting for scanning direct messages, and that for explicit content and media. Now you can say, keep me safe, scan everything. My friends are nice, only scan things from people that aren't friends, and then just don't scan anything. And then you have some other settings like who can add you as a friend, everyone, friends of friends, server members, etc. Now you can look at these. The point I want to make for all of you here is those settings can all be changed by your child. So it's not really a parental control, is it? If your child can come in there and go, you know what, don't scan anything because I want to see everything being sent to me. So like I said, we cannot depend on these companies to protect our kids online. Now, one thing I should mention is they did create a Discord parent guide explaining to parents what Discord is, talking about some of the safety controls. And I mean, it's just something really to be informative for you. And I'm going to put the link in the description below. If you want to get that, it's just a short PDF. You can go through it. If you don't know what Discord is, it'd be good for you to go through that and review it. But just realize your kids can change any of these settings as they use Discord. You know, it's really important that everyone understands this. Parental controls are not and likely will never be a high priority for these companies. And why would they be? Why would they take a bunch of software engineers that cost a lot of money and put all of them over here working on parental controls, something that brings them zero revenue? And on top of that, parental controls actually, you know, you're limiting things. So you're locking kids down more. So maybe you're locking down who they interact with, you're locking down who they can share with, what they can do. All of these things that are limiting, which are parental controls, are going to make the kids go, you know what, this isn't as good as we thought it was. So I'm going to go use this other application that's not all locked down. And they're going to go download and use something else. We just got to make sure that we as parents do not sit back and wait for these companies to create parental controls that we will use with each one of their applications. It's just not going to happen. They're never going to be where they need to be, and it's up to us to put the right controls and strategies in place to make sure our kids are safe online. Okay, I promised I would talk about how the mom could have known this was going on between her 16-year-old daughter and the man in the United Kingdom way earlier than she did. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I promised you I'd do that. Number two, I want to talk about, do I let my own son, who's a high schooler, on Discord and why I would do that. And number three, I want to talk about what is the best parental control strategy and tools that you can use and you can set up. So let's talk about that mom. So if that mom would have had something called Bark, it's a software installed and running on her daughter's devices and connected her accounts, she would have known. Because Bark is an analytic software. It's like an artificial intelligence, so to speak. And when you connect all your child's devices, all of their accounts, Bark is constantly analyzing everything that's happening. And when it sees something concerning, just like a guardian angel, it sends you an alert and it shows you exactly what the problem is. And if that young lady had sent a nude picture, you would have known about it. She would have known about it as the parent immediately. And it could have stopped right then. It probably would have stopped earlier because I'm sure there was conversation going on that was inappropriate. And they would have seen that and been alerted to that too. And that is called Bark. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video too, if you want to go check it out. But it's really only one of the many layers you need to have for parental controls. And we'll talk about it in a second. So second thing is, do I let my son use it? So the answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. Number one is I have Bark turned on everything, and he knows it. He knows that if there's something inappropriate, it's going to come to me. He knows that I can check at any time and see if any of these safety control settings have been changed. Then he will lose privileges of using the application. All of those things we talked about earlier, knowing your kid's app, talking to them about the dangers, the internet is permanent. We've had conversations extensively about those things with him. And now as a 15-year-old, he really understands it. And he's very careful. So that is why, because I feel confident that we have the controls in place that he can use Discord. Now, is it going to be perfect? Are there some things that probably could slide by? Absolutely. But I know there's enough good that I see him getting out of that, that I think that's a little bit worth the risk. Nothing will ever be foolproof, by the way. There's not a foolproof system, but you can get as close as you possibly can, and then just be a good parent. That's what you got to do. And number 3, what is the best parental control strategy, tools, and technology to keep your kids safe online? Now, to talk about this, I got to show you a picture. You see this picture right here? I'm going to put it up on the screen. This is a picture of my son there on the drums. And this whole section is him. He's in the Wall Street Journal, where he was interviewed by a reporter about how he gets around and has gotten around over the years parental control, some of his strategies. Now, you might be saying, well, Chad, I thought you just said you had parental controls and you had things locked down. And well, that is true. But my son has figured out some techniques to get around them. But believe me, I've locked them back down. But the good news is my son and I have teamed up so that we can teach parents like you what are the best strategies, what are the best tools, and what is the best technology and how to use it so that you can keep your kids safe online. And if you're interested to learn more about all of that, check out the link that's in the description of this video. There's a link to our website, totaltechparenting.com. And over there, we're going to be sharing with you the parental controls pyramid. This shows the pyramid and the 3 must-have layers that you have to have in order to have a comprehensive parental control strategy. And this makes sure that you don't have, some devices covered while others are not. It makes sure your kids can't get around the parental controls. It makes sure your mobile devices have a strategy attached to it. And of course, Bark, the one we talked about, is a part of that strategy too at the top. It's the brains, really keeping an eye on everything and analyzing what your kids are doing. So if you're interested to learn more, come on over to our website, take a look at it. We'll be thrilled to share more of these strategies with you on how to protect your kids online. Now, before I go, I just want to say this. It is up to us as parents to keep the lines of communication open, to talk to them and ask our kids questions. You like Discord, why do you like it so much? What is it about it? Be curious. When you start asking your kids questions about things that they love and are interested in, they're going to light up and they're going to start sharing more with you, which is exactly the place that you want to be. And they're going to associate, hey, being excited to talk about things they care about, they're going to associate that with you, which is exactly where you want to be. And one of the best ways to do that, and I know it's hard to do every night, but it's just, and you've heard it before, try to have dinner together as a family without technology around and just take time to connect. And you do that, we'll keep our relationship strong with our kids and make sure they're growing up safe and living their best lives. Now, thanks for tuning in. I hope you liked this. If you thought it was helpful, hit the like button and of course subscribe, and you can learn lots more as we go along on how we protect our kids online and make sure they're safe, set time limits, and so much more. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and have a great day.